All right.
Well done, girlfriend.
Hello. Ciao,
Ciao,
ciao, ciao.
Bella.
How
How
are
are
you,
you?
Reto? So nice to see you.
I know it's been a
Freshly
while. It's
back
been a
from
minute.
Europe?
Yes, yes. Fresh off the boat, girl. Fresh off the boat.
Yes.
Freezing my ass off here.
I know, I know. Isn't it nice to be wet every day?
Well, when you put it like that, it is, yes.
It's sweet. Yeah, you have to look at it with different eyes, you know? We're getting
Absolutely,
lubricated.
absolutely. Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
we bless the rain in Africa, don't we?
Yes, we love it.
Exactly, exactly.
So I invited Reto to join me in this really brief conversation about men's sexuality and the work I do with the men, because next weekend I've got a retreat for men. And Reto joined me when I was at Retreat Yourself in March at the festival, and I gave a talk for men called Spiritual Eroticism for Men. And he gave me the most amazing feedback after. He was so energized and excited. And I thought maybe this would be lovely to hear it for maybe the men that are a little bit unsure, they don't know what they're going to put themselves into, that are intimidated maybe by my work. And so I thought if you would want to share how was your experience? How did you receive me? And what landed you? And yeah, anything that is still alive in you, perhaps since then.
Right.
What's still alive in you? What you took with you that was really valid?
Well, the most valuable thing that you gave us that day, well, there were many. First of all, let me just tell you, the gifts that were coming from you to us was absolutely unconditional and so precious and so beautiful. So maybe I should just explain what happened. So we were at Retreat to Yourself with our family. So I've had my future son-in-law and maybe my other future son-in-law. So my two daughters were there, one with her fiance and one with her boyfriend, right? So we decided, we saw this advertised with Valentina Love. I'm like, boys, we're going. That's what we're doing. You girls go shopping, do whatever you want to do, go and meditate or go and do yoga. We're going to go to Valentina. So we arrived there, and it's a bit strange at the beginning. You're not sure what you're in for. So I understand that men or women, I suppose, can sometimes feel a bit, oh my God, what's going to happen? And what is Valentina going to make us do? And we've also done bliss dance with you that we absolutely love. So we were like, okay, boys, come, let's go. So not long into the session, we found ourselves holding our dicks with the right hand and our left hand on our hearts, and you're telling us that our penises start in our hearts and we need to honor that. So there I am looking slightly to the left, and I can see that both the boys are holding their penises. We were fully closed, by the way, let me just say that.
Oh,
And
yes. Let's specify this.
okay, this is going to be very interesting. So, and of course, you took us on this beautiful meditation. And the journey began with us, really going inside and starting to really connect with ourselves and our sexuality and our masculinity and all of that. So what is still alive in me and in all of us, it's become like our mantra. When, all else fails, relax your
Your
anus.
anus.
There we go.
Relax your anus.
That has been the best advice I've been given in years. Because when you do that, life just becomes brighter in a second. So we are
Yes,
now
life is not
part
your
of the
enemy
Relax Your
anymore.
Anus tribe. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. Yes.
so beautiful. Thank you. And I remember what really touched me immediately after, when I met you after on the dance floor with
Yes.
your relaxed anus,
Yes.
with all the guys from your
Yes.
family, that you are in your 50, and one of your future what do you call it, son-in-law was in his mid-30s, if I remember well,
Early 30s, right, Gilad? Yes.
early 30s, and the other one was in his
Yes, exactly.
mid-20s.
Yes.
So there was a big range of age, and you told me we all came away with something.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where you are in your life.
Yeah.
The essence of this teaching, it's And this for me is very beautiful to receive, because today again, I was in conversation with someone asking me to do work for teenage boy because
Right.
they're growing up and they need to hear it and do specific for them. And I was like, no, I just teach for any man.
Yeah.
And no matter how old you are, there is a piece for you there.
100%.
Because these are the teaching, the pure teaching of sexuality when we understand it as a spiritual practice. And so whatever age you are in, you will find an entry point that works for yourself.
100%.
I don't have to tailor-made it for the young one and the elder one.
Yeah.
It's just for the essence of man. And so wherever you are in your life, you will take something, drop something else, and hopefully will add something to your relationship with your penis, right? In your heart.
100%.
Which every man has, whatever age you're in, you need to start to have a relationship. I think this is the essential point.
Yeah.
The question is, have you got a relationship with your sex? If you don't, you better begin culturing one.
That's right. That's right. No, you know, I must say that was for us, like you say, 100%. It doesn't matter where you are at in life as a man. The fact that you are a man and you have a penis, this is, you know, whatever you're ready to receive in that moment in time. Like I said to you, we all walked out of there incredibly inspired by you and by what you brought for us and what you gave to us for ourselves. No matter where you're at, as you say, 20, 30 or 50, it made no difference. We all got something out of it. And I think the way you did it, and, you know, because we walked in there and I think we were, with you, 69 people in that tent?
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I mean,
the magic number.
Right? So, you know, we walked in there and it's, at the beginning you're looking around and you're like, oh my God, and what is he doing here? And you know, we have this programmed kind of scanning and judgment of, you know, like we do that, right? And the fact that we got to really be, first of all, with ourselves, but held in a space of men, I think it's incredibly valuable. That for me was so powerful, because it doesn't happen often enough. Do you know what I mean? And I think
because I feel there was a real soft brotherhood that got created. That is not the brotherhood of competition. You know, when men come together, they don't trust each other. This is what I discovered speaking with men. There is a tendency of being in constant competition and mistrust. And by the end of the 2 hours, I think there was a lot of friendship and tenderness, and men holding each other, and men crying in their tenderness, processing themselves held by their brother. And here is where we processing all the wounds with the father, father wound. You know, we come from generation where our parents were so hard with themselves
100%.
and with us, especially if you're in your 50s. You know, it was the post-war generation, our parents. So the emotionality was really taken away from the realm of man. And so I noticed that male sexuality tends to be hard and rough and a power play. And for me, my desire, my heart desire, is to bring back tenderness in the body of man, and in the way they can meet their sexuality and learn to make love with soft tenderness and open heart. And I think that tenderness begin also with the other brothers, that they're not your competitor, they can be your support team, actually. And when a man started to become tender and was held by another man, suddenly the field relaxed. And it's, you know, there is also this homophobia, there is such fear. Because the sexuality, although it's rough and powerful, is always at the forefront of men relating with the world, I notice. You know, we come from a patriarchy, is all about the big cock and how hard it is and how much it fucks, and, you know, it's this trophy to hold. And when all of that got relaxed, that we are here for the heart of man, and then the cock come after. You know, first looking at the heart, and we're relaxing and we're learning to be aroused in the heart, then the penis will follow. But right now, that's not the conversation we are interested in.
And I love the way you explained to us that, you know, like the arrow, you know, we see this, the penis is like this arrow, you know, and you're like, where are you shooting this arrow off? You know, so we're just like shooting fucking, you know, stuff all over the world. But you wanted to connect with the archer. And that for me was so profound. Do you know what I mean? That it was really about who is holding the arrow, where are you aiming your arrow? You know, the archer is the most important element of it. You know, the arrow is, you know, it is what it is.
The arrow is just a tool, but it needs to take direction. Who is the one that commands this arrow? Instead of shooting from the hip, you know, there is this term, shoot arrows from the hips. Actually, when you pull the arch, the arrow starts in the heart. And so, yeah, that was an interesting inquiry for me also. That just landed in me as I was walking to the tent. You know, who's the archer? Where is the heart of the archer? What do you want to penetrate in life? When you're throwing arrows, and these are powerful arrows, because when you penetrate the world, you penetrate reality, you make dreams happen. You create your reality also with the power of your sexuality. So your penis has a very important role to play because it inseminates. I mean, the symbology for me of the sex organ is just so poetic and delightful. So if you inseminate the world, you know, what tree do you want to plant? What is the future you want to see? And then to know your sexuality has the power to generate what you really, really dream of. But I'm interested in the heart dream, not in the ego so much, you know. Often we associate the cock to the mind, to the ego, and we bypass the heart completely. Because, you know, in the old days is the feminine element, and men were denied this access to the heart. And so that's how I think a lot of men actually damage themselves as well. When I speak to them, they're not really happy on how they end up living their sexuality, because the heart was never included. And so,
well, you know what I also thought such a powerful moment that you gave us was, you know, when you invited us to kind of sit in like a triangle, and you asked us to share with our 2 other men that, you know, 3 and 3 and 3. So of course I had my boys with me. That was perfect. And we got given 2 minutes to just speak, but not expect an answer. You know, like they were not, your partners as such were not allowed to answer. They were just meant to listen. And for a man to sit with 2 other men and just be able to speak from the heart of what this meant to us, this experience, you know, because there were moments that it really touched you, you know, there were really truths. That was so, so powerful, because normally as a man, you feel like you have to have an answer, or you listen to answer, not to listen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was also a moment.
Listen to respond,
exactly.
To have the clever answer. And so actually the sharing doesn't land on you.
No, it has no, it has no value, because, you know that as you're sharing, that other person wants to give you an answer or wants to respond, instead of just letting it be, you know, to just kind of arrive in a beautiful space. And to have that done 3 times, and you just close your eyes and you just listen to someone's truth and someone's moment, is so powerful, especially man to man, because, you know, we always need to be clever or have an answer or sort something out. So that was also another moment that really stayed with me, especially, that I was just like, wow, you know, it's such a little moment in a life, but it has a huge effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was.
And also imagine how powerful must have been for you, because these are people in your family. I mean, they are the lovers of your daughters.
Well, exactly, you know.
And to have such an intimate moment, instead of this, again, who are you? Are you going to marry my daughter? Are you going to respect her? Checking the other guy as if he's your enemy. Actually, is loving the daughter that you love so much. So to enter relationship with respect and honoring, and it's gonna, you know, bring more gifts than
you know, because I have 2 daughters that I'm like super proud of and love dearly, but I've never had sons to kind of make sure that they grow up in a way that I would love for them to be with women. You know what I mean? To like love and respect and honor. You know, like I want to show up every day. But the fact that they go and choose men like that, that to me is a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you'll be an influence for them. You know, there's also these things that sometimes they're not our children, but when they are the same age, they could be our children, then they are our children. We are influencer. So, and I feel it's our duty to mentor. And I think for them to see you the big dad, you know, the father-in-law, to be vulnerable and talk about your sexuality must have been so inspiring.
Yeah.
And give them the possibility to then be honest and be tender.
Yeah.
So,
Because, you know,
sure.
at the end of the day, that's all you can do and be, right? And there was another moment, there were so many, and it's all flashing back to me now. You know, there was a moment where we were asked to lean into each other back to back. Remember, all threes. And to feel the support of another man, do you know what I mean? Without an agenda. Do you know what I mean? Because normally it would go from like, I want to fuck you, or I'm going to fuck you up. Do you know what I mean? If you touch me, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of the perimeter that we live in as men, right? It's like there's a kind of thing. And to be able to lean in and feel like there was this movement and the support, you're supporting yourself, but when you need to be held, you are held without an agenda. Do you know what I mean? With just pure male to male support. That was incredible.
Yeah. It's like your brother got your back.
Exactly.
Because we say this thing, but now we did it in an embodied practice. What does it feel like that my brother got my back? And in that is one element of bliss dance. You know, we often do it. And the key is that the more you give in, the more you are held. And sometimes we are afraid to lean in because 100%. We think we're going to look weak. We need to ask for support and we need to do it all by ourselves. And if you hold on to yourself, the dance doesn't work. It only really starts to blossom when everybody give of themselves, leaning in.
Yes.
And when we lean into community, the community is holding us. But it starts from our vulnerability.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it's like that little moment like that just really, you know, it's amazing how, you know, that's why I think men should do this. This should be part of like your matric or something. Do you know what I mean? This kind of work that you do. Do you know what I mean? To imagine, you know, to undo so much, you know, programming that you get from your parents, you get from your ancestors, you get from society, you get from, you know what I mean, all these dialogues that are floating around, that you're then trying to find a way of showing up the best way possible, right? And I think especially sexually, do you know what I mean? And today with porn, I mean, what the fuck are we doing with these people? Do you know what I mean? What are we saying? Where to kind of be able to just drop into moments like these, what you facilitate, are so incredibly powerful and long lasting, because it fundamentally, we were not the same men that we walked in as when we walked out. We were not. Do you know what I mean? In small moments that you facilitated space for us to just have moments with ourselves in the safe environment of other men. Do you see this kind of, maybe people host this in other, you know, in other ways or whatever, but men, I would say, to be held by men is just such an incredible thing for a man.
Yeah, because it's empowering. A lot of the time when I do mixed group, the men in partnership, and there were many married men in the group, but they came alone. When they come with their wife, a lot of the men tend to lean on the wife. She's the one that does book the ticket and drag them there, and she's the social face. And the men just come along, and they don't have to put themselves into the mix because the wife is there. She's going to do it for him. It's a kind of a social agreement we all been having. I did the same when I was in long relationship. My mother did the same. And when there are no women in the space, the men need to resource themselves. There is no mirror, there is no filter. I'm here and I have to show up. And at the beginning it's uncomfortable, but give it 20 minutes. They actually find out that they have a lot of resources, that they don't need a filter to be in the world. And they all brought themselves so much in. There was a deep presence and willingness to expose themselves. And I think that's the real transformation that begins to happen. It's calling for maturity. And oftentimes in relationship, men lack sexual maturity because the woman become a little bit of mommy and does everything for them. And then the dynamic of sex are becoming a little bit contracted and convoluted because the man is not a man, becomes a boy because she takes care of everything for him. So she starts to relate to him as a boy, and he realized that he feels demasculated and he can't find his way back in. And so for me, this group with men only are really important for the men to find themselves and then show up with their wife and lover and girlfriend as themselves, not filtered through them. And, you know, a woman wants a man to be the lover, to be her match, not a boy. And so to take responsibility, that's what I always say. This is my line, my marketing line, that to take responsibility of his sexual desire, initiate the boy into the man. And this for me, it's really real, because in that group, everybody that left, they left as men. Everybody was a man. When you say there were different people, there was a maturity. No one was afraid of another man. You don't need the filter. You've got what you need to thrive in your sexuality and the world.
That's right.
And maybe some of them came in insecure, a little bit boyish still. And I feel everybody left as mature men. There was a different energy in the field.
Yeah, because you see, I think you created a space and an atmosphere and a holding where men can just be men without the whole kind of thing that we think we should be. You know, the thinking was taken away. You know, when we sank into our hearts, that's when it all happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really all you did for us, you know, you just really connected us with our hearts and got out of our heads. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's another male thing where we think too much, you know what I mean, instead of just trusting in the process. So I must say I would recommend this experience to any man. I really would, because I thought it was really beautiful. It was very powerful, and there's little moments in there that you can really just go like, oh my God, I see where I get stuck or where I felt this before. And do you know what I mean? It was really powerful.
I feel, you know, it's an initiation in a sense. It's because you understand the tantric perspective on sexuality. And once you know it, it's so expansive. That's it. You can run with it for a long time also and apply it in your life however you want. It's not a belief system. It's not a credo. You don't have to believe what I say. But when things land in the body, then is a true personal knowing. And then is your truth. And then you start to build your own relationship with God. It's, you know, that your sexuality, it's a conversation with reality. You don't need any filter. Because a lot of men understand their sexuality through women. You know, without the women, they don't even think they're sexual being. They need to have a woman in order. And for the women, it's the same. The women married and offer their sexuality to their husband forever. And you know, I do work with women alone and men alone, and my intention is to bring back this primal connection. Your sexuality is a relationship with your heart, and then a conversation with God, with creation, with nature, call it whatever you want, with the mystery, with the invisible. And in that, you're always together. It's resourcing you. You know, you're tapping into source, and then you have your own resources to move in the world. Then when you meet a woman, a man, someone you want to make love with, becomes a celebration. You choose them to make love with them because you are enriched by yourself, and not because you need them to find yourself. There is need, this sexual dynamic, you know, and you need to assert power, you need to feel important, you don't want to be lonely. And then those is where sex becomes really disempowered. So, yeah, man. Thank you for showing up.
Before we end, I must just tell you this. It was so funny. So by the time we walked back, you know, because we thought it was a 1 hour experience. And of course it was 2, and it felt like 20 minutes. It was amazing. We get back to our goals now. So we're walking now with our red dots, you know, and we are still being part of the clan of the relaxed anus, right? So we're walking with lots of swagger, you know, we're like, yeah. The confidence was unbelievable, right? We were like, yeah. And then,
you were sizzling hot.
We were glowing in the dark, I tell you. So we get back to the girls and they were like, oh my God, you've been gone for so long and what did you do? And, you know, so now, of course, we're downloading, right? And we're like, oh, we did this and we did that and we had to do this and that was amazing, blah, blah. And then Indigo looks at me and she goes, that's the youngest one, right, of the daughters. And she goes, you know, I must say, normally dads or father-in-laws take their son-in-laws golfing or fishing and you take them to Valentina Love. I'm like, yeah.
Well done. You graduated into my club. What's golfing and fishing? Now we're gonna go and lean on each other and speak our sexual secrets.
Keep meaningful conversations, and you know what I mean, and direct your arrow in the right way, and all of that. So it was incredible. So I really recommend it. I really do. I hope that you have a very, very successful weekend. And anyone out there that's not sure about this, go for it. Go for it.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for your support. And I just want to also put you in context that we've been friends for 20 years. You know, we all expats. We coming from, I'm from Italy and you're from Switzerland, so it's very close. And we've been in South Africa and Cape Town for over 20 years. So we've known each other before we had children.
Right.
And Reto, of course, is my fabulous hairdresser. He's responsible for my beautiful hairstyle. And I'm really enjoying sharing this journey of going in life with you, Reto. It's really, really beautiful. It's inspiring. You are a true artist of life, you know. You're not a hairdresser. You actually are hair artist, and you sculpt and you paint. And I do also all of that. And so for me, the Tantra, no wonder that it landed so beautiful in you, because Tantra is for the artist of life. You know, when we're really making our life the true artwork, then Tantra is perfect because it's got so much creative expansion. And so wonderful. Thank you for being with me this evening, and have a lovely night.
Yeah, you too. Ciao.
Ciao, amore.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Ti amo.
Anche a te. Ciao.